Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Lots of reaction from around the community to Attach getting benched by the Minnesota Rokkr last night. Scump and Methods give their opinion, we'll see here in a second. But also Scrappy doubling down on the war that is being waged against Standy over the last few days, saying he was thanking the Lord when Standy got benched from the team, and says he wants to chokeslam him next time they play their match on April the 14th in the server, of course. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Plenty to dive into. Firstly, I wanted to mention my fantasy team. If you guys haven't yet got involved, feel free to. You've got Fame only for $4, and there's Standy for $5 now. So I had Attach in my team. I was actually pretty excited to have Attach in my team. I've now got Fame. I'm not too displeased here, to be fair, because if Fame was $4 initially, I would have gone for him. I think realistically, even if Fame was meant to be worth more than 4, because based on his challenger performances, he might be. But I think that you can't really put. Let's say he was worth $5. And because I chose Attach, I get Fame. It's like then my team's worth more than 25. So whatever. I'm still pretty happy with my team. Pred, I'm not sure is the best $10 pick, to be honest. I feel like there's other better $10 options, possibly just because Surge have a hard run this time. And I don't know if Pred's going to have the same performance he had last time around. Drazah, though, and Timp, I think are reasonably good picks here. So I'm kind of satisfied with my team. But I'm sure you guys can probably do better. Also, just to update on the Attach situation then. So if you guys missed this yesterday, Rokkr benching Attach in the team. Fame starting in his place. Big surprise to many, right, that Attach, after, obviously veteran of the Call of Duty scene, dropped out of the organization for now. Might return at some point in the future, and definitely made clear last night that he's still looking to compete. He's not going to try and go anywhere. Moved off the starting team. Still looking to compete. Will be ready for the next opportunity. Appreciate the support. So Attach, I'm sure, will find a spot next season, whether it's on the Rokkr, whether it's on the Rokkr for the rest of this season, which is possible as well. If they still suck with this new team and decide to make an additional change, which they may well do, and even Attach, good guy that he is, saying best of luck Kev to Fame, who is now in that starting roster, of course. Slasher was also given his support to Attach as well. We saw from Sib and from others that a lot of respect between some of their, OGs especially, and Slasher to a guy like Attach, kind of saying that a lot of opinions were from the pros that this seems like a bit of a questionable move to get rid of Attach, especially with what Attach said we saw last night, that the coaches had kind of been pushing him towards playing the playstyle that he was, and that's why he was, in part why he was struggling a little bit. So Scump and Methods reacted to this last night. Scump says he reckons this move is pretty insane. Of course, that's Scump's word of the day at the moment, so everything's insane to Scump, but still, take that how you will. But definitely discussing that it's a surprising move, especially when you consider the statistical side of things, where Attach has been one of their stronger players for some time.
Yeah, we got some news to talk about today. Recent roster moves. So obviously, if you guys didn't see, Attach got benched today, which is absolutely insane. It's not insane. It's a little bit insane. That's Attach. That is a veteran in the scene. A little bit insane, if you ask me.
Okay, so I'm shocked that they made a change, because I thought this team would give it another go with just we had a terrible stage, but we showed a lot of positives in Major 2. So let's give it another go.
So when we were talking about it, we said that we think that Rokkr should give their team another opportunity to run it back through a full stage, right?
Yeah.
That's what we were initially saying. So it's a little bit surprising to me that obviously what we say is not what should be done. We are not GMs.
I tried warning them. When you get Cammy and Bance on the team, they're bound to drop the American. I've been there before. They've done it to me, and they've gotten away with it again.
Is that what happens?
Yeah. If you are, Cammy and Bance, they have once again taken out a non-European player. It's actually impressive how they keep getting away with it. And now I'm on their case.
That's insane. So you're saying it's Bance and Cammy that just keep getting away with this like they're in Scooby-Doo.
But unfortunately for Attach, I've been through this before. They're going to be better. Somehow, some way, they're going to do it. They're going to do it.
Well, they're going to get that initial bump, right? They're going to get the honeymoon period. They're getting a guy with fresh legs.
We can sit here all day and argue that it shouldn't have been him statistically. And from the outside looking in, almost everybody would agree that it didn't make sense for it to be Dylan. But they think that they see something that we don't, is what I'm assuming here.
So Attach is definitely still planning to compete, as we saw, whether it's on Rokkr, whether it's elsewhere. He doesn't want to go away anytime soon, and I do wonder whether there is the possibility, as Jacob L says, of this kind of duo reunion next year. Clay and Attach, they won the World Championship together on Denial way back in 2015 now, and teamed up even after that for quite a period of time on FaZe. So who knows, right? Because Clay's been doing very well this season on Vegas. There is a chance that either on Vegas next year, like if Clay still wants to compete next season, he certainly still has the passion for it, right? And I think the ability is still there. Statistically, he was probably the best search and destroy player in the league during Stage 3 this year. I mean, his numbers were absolutely outrageous for Vegas back in, Major 3 qualifiers and Major 3 itself. So I think Clay's still got it, and potentially he's even going to get upgraded offers next season, right? I can definitely see a world in which teams better than Vegas next year start to reach out to Clay to try and build up their project and their program, because we know what Clay can do with kind of young and up-and-coming players and what he can mold them into. So still a very valuable asset in the league. Now, a Clay Attach reunion would be pretty wild, to be honest, but it's not out of the realms of possibility that Attach could play a faster flex-type role. I mean, let's be honest here, Clay's a rapid-paced AR anyway, so I still think this AR duo could potentially work, but where would it be? Would it be on Vegas? Would it be elsewhere? I guess we'll have to wait and see if that's even going to happen at some point. The other key storyline, though, to mention is the Scrappy versus Standy war, which is currently ongoing, and it will come to maybe a conclusion, at least for the shorter term, on April the 14th, when Toronto and Vegas play each other in a game. Now, this, I've got to say, the Blueprint Season 3, Episode 3 was an absolutely phenomenal episode of, storytelling. All the features in this were great, and it's one of the better episodes. All the teams nowadays are doing the vision type thing, right? But, well, at least most of them are. A lot of them aren't done particularly well, I would say. This one from Toronto was great. The amount of camera angles, the way the stories were done, like the amount of time they spent on certain things made a lot of sense to me as well. But fundamentally, the reason why this was good was because, they won. Okay, that's part of it at the end of the day. I think that a lot of the times these teams are making their documentaries that no one really watches because their team is just terrible. Like, if your team's getting top 8, top 12 every event, like, nobody really cares at the end of the day. Unless you're OpTic and you've built up that over years, like, people just aren't really going to watch if you're trying to build up a brand and a presence and interest in the personalities if your team is getting absolutely smoked week in and week out. So I think that's part of it, but also it's the personalities, right? I watched this in part because I know that Scrappy's an entertaining character and I want to tune in to see what he's got to say because you never really know what he's going to say next, this guy. But by tuning in, you then get the insight from CleanX, from Hicksy, from Insight, and you get to know more about their personality. So I think Toronto have done this the right way. Not only have they got a good team that wins, so people actually want to watch a documentary which is discussing how they won, but also they've got a guy like Scrappy and they've got some interesting personalities to help bring more eyes to the content in the first place. So thought it was very well done. But I've got to share here about a minute segment of when Scrappy was going off against Standy and made his thoughts very clear even early in the episode about what he was saying to tarnish himself and their organization, but also that he was thanking the Lord when he was dropped and wants to come and get revenge.
So we leave the facility, we head home, and a few hours later I get a call that we're going to be benching eLLeY Standy, and I said, thank the Lord.
And then we also got another special guest in here. Is that eLLeY Standy in the TeamSpeak? Is that him?
Personally, I feel like Scrappy and Charlie are just good boys, and I feel like Scrappy just really wanted to play with him. So I feel like he was kind of the guy, like I'm just saying, that's how I imagine it going down. And I feel like Insight and Scrappy became really good boys too. So I was just kind of the odd man out. Fuck you, Scrappy.
I don't want to be that guy, but we should probably move on.
He thought that his best choice was to go on the flank in front of 15,000 people and go spew bullshit for the next 30 minutes.
In reality, there's always kind of two sides and the truth is somewhere in between. So a lot of the reasoning was kind of embellished on his side.
He went on there, he said he wanted to be professional and he wanted us to do well, but then proceeded to absolutely just drag us through the dirt and put our names, my name, to be honest, through the dirt. Then he's on stream rooting for other teams and waiting and praying on our downfall, and it's just weird, unprofessional. I wish him the best of luck. I hope he's on another team this year so he can absolutely get chokeslammed.
So I've got to say some funny comments there from Scrappy in a way, right? The way that he comes out and says, super unprofessional from Standy, the way that he went on the flank and was talking trash about Scrappy, and the fact that, Scrappy was the guy that got him dropped, whereas he didn't really believe that was actually the case. And also on stream afterwards, there was a few clips came out where he was kind of slandering the organization, which is probably why, in large part, they just straight up dropped him because they didn't want him to be associated with the org anymore and kind of fired him rather than, wanting to keep him around as a substitute or something. Seems to be how it went for Standy, but it might be be mutually beneficial to both parties in the end. But the way that Scrappy was like, oh, this guy was super unprofessional, and then 5 seconds later says, I can't wait to chokeslam this kid on LAN. I know that, look, Scrappy, this guy, he loves to talk, and you gotta respect it. And the way that he trash talked, you'd think this guy was a veteran with like years of experience and championships under his belt. The fact that he's just come into the scene and now he's won an event is going to make his trash talk even, you know, more severe, I suppose, because Standy won an event back in Cold War, and now, of course, Scrappy's done the same thing. So very spicy stuff. I know that Scrappy, people have their mixed opinions on him, right? Where they're like, oh, he should be saying this type of stuff, whether he shouldn't. But at the end of the day, we know as Call of Duty fans, our game, the game that is played, is not particularly good. In most sports and even most esports, the fans of the game like the game generally and actually appreciate what is being played. But for us, like, we don't have that luxury, I think, nowadays in general, with the titles that Infinity Ward and Sledgehammer have been pumping out. So we've got to get the entertainment somehow, and that largely comes down to the personalities and to the players, and you know, Scrappy is a key piece as to why. But yeah, what do you guys think about this going forwards? Because man, this guy Scrappy just cannot stop talking, and like, maybe fair enough, but adding fuel to the fire. In fairness, those clips were recorded some time ago now, so not you know, post all the drama that we saw just yesterday and the day before between the two of them, but still showing that things are certainly not all sunshine and rainbows between the two. And as I say, April the 14th, that is the key date to watch out for, because that's when these two teams are going to play each other, and certainly Toronto will be favourites going into that series unless something remarkable happens over the next couple of weeks in terms of how those qualifier games go. If Vegas are frying and Toronto struggle, could be very interesting. If it's the other way around, then it might not be a particularly close series, but Scrappy is certainly going to be all up in that camera for that online game. There is no doubt about it in my mind. So tweet your thoughts in the comments below. Don't know which side you take on this story, because many were taking Standy's side on the Twitter beef of a couple of days ago, because Scrappy was kind of, you know, leaking things and then deleted all his tweets. But I can understand where Scrappy's coming from, because it kind of was Standy first who went on the flank to say things that, you know, then Toronto and Scrappy as a player and as an organization felt weren't accurate to the situation at hand. Just before we close out the video, I wanted to mention OpTics. Well, actually, it's the breakdown. So Scump and Methods went through and did this tier list for Major 4. This, in fairness, is the way that it should be done, in my opinion, as in it's, you know, it's a current power rankings tier list in terms of how good the teams are right now going into the major cycle. And Ultra number 1, FaZe number 2, both in the S tier. I think that's understandable. I kind of do like this list, to be honest, and I've got to say that Boston, like, get a really good rep a lot of the time in all of these tier lists that most of the players do. Boston are very highly rated by a lot of the teams and players. Yes, Scump and Methods aren't playing anymore, but and of course Methods is maybe going to be slightly biased to Boston, but nonetheless, most teams say that when they play Boston in scrims, Boston do very well indeed. It's just about translating that on LAN into a successful performance. Like, their record in all the game modes this year is very good. They're kind of like a B-Tech Toronto. Like, their record in all the game modes is like 55%. Like, they're good enough to make it far in tournaments, but when they play, it's like they played Toronto at the Major and they lost game 5. Like, there's some moments where Boston just falls short right now, that if they can turn around, they can be a very solid team. So I thought it was quite interesting to see them there in the A tier, and I think it might be understandable, given they did get top 4 and they do have more potential to make it farther than I think some people give them credit for a lot of the time. Then B tier is Surge, Thieves, pretty interesting, Vegas, New York in the C tier, and then 4 teams in D tier, which I think is probably understandable as well, with Rokkr, Mutineers, we've got the Los Angeles, Squadrons of London, of course, all down here with the least chance of any teams to actually make a run if there was a tournament to go down tomorrow. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.